we've got leaked specifications on the WOW camera by Olympus. And I gotta tell you, this is looking more and more like a direct competitor to the Panasonic GH6 than anything else. Now, according to 4/3 rumors, we're supposed to be getting an announcement next Tuesday on the 15th, although there has been no time specified and we don't have anything coming out by Olympus yet. And this is interesting because Olympus has come out and said that they're going to have a virtual press conference at CP Plus Online on the 24th, and they specified a time. I believe it's 1300 hours. I'm getting it mixed up because the Panasonic one is just the day before. But 4/3 Rumors has just come out with some other leaked specifications. Now, these aren't 100%. According to 4/3 Rumors, they're between 60 and 80% accurate. I personally prefer 80% accurate, but 60% to me is still, well, not really a passing grade. But let's jump right into the specifications. The Olympus WOW camera is going to be capable of 4K 60 frames per second, 10-bit 422. And it's going to be able to do that in 24 and 25, 30, 50, and 60 frames per second. But wait, there's more. It's also going to be capable of 4K at 120 frames per second. And that's pretty impressive. 4K 120 frames per second, 12-bit raw DCI. So what is going to power this new camera? Well, it's going to have a new sensor and a new processor. And the processor, well, it's going to be coming from Sony, and it's the IMX472. So I know what you're thinking. Well, wait a minute. If it's a 20 megapixel sensor, are we only going to get 4K? Well, we don't know. We have a certain limited number of leaked specifications, which you can see right here, and there's no mention of any oversampled modes, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are. It's one of the things that if we look at the GH6 and what we got in the development announcement, there's certainly, well, it's certainly mentioned. So I'll do a comparison between the GH6 in just a moment, but let's get through all the specifications that have been leaked about this WOW camera. Now, in terms of autofocus, it's definitely received an improvement, and they've got improvements in autofocus tracking as well as astro tracking. Now, with Olympus and a lot of their latest cameras, you have a choice between contrast detect autofocus and phase detect on sensor, and where you get to choose. So at least you have that phase detect autofocus system. So 4K 60, 4K 120, 10-bit 422. Now in 4K 120, does it say? Yeah, it's 12. Here's the thing about 4K 120, 12-bit raw DCI. So what about 4K up to 60 frames per second? Do we not get the choice of 12-bit raw DCI there too? The one thing to realize is to output 4K 120 takes a whole lot more effort than it does to do 4K 60 or 4K 30 or even 4K 24. But again, these are leaked specifications, and again, they're 60 to 80% correct, so we don't even know if these are actually what we're going to see in this WOW camera, but it's certainly fun to talk about. Now, let's compare the WOW camera to the Panasonic GH6. And you can see that they're both getting new processors and new sensors, although we don't know what's going to be in the Panasonic GH6. We do know that the WOW camera is going to be getting a Sony IMX572 processor. And of course, that processor does have phase detection on it, which leads me to believe that, yes, the WOW camera is going to have a phase detect autofocus system. Thank you, Olympus. If this rumor is correct, thank you. Phase detect is the way to go for video. I'm not going to say anything else. So when it comes to 4K 60, both cameras can do 4K 60 at 10-bit with a 422 color space, which is really good. Now, as far as the WOW camera, well, it's supposed to get 12-bit RAW on Panasonic's Lumix GH6. Well, it's 10-bit. Now, they don't say the color space, so I'm willing to assume that it's not going to be 422 and it's going to be 420. But again, I don't really consider that to be a really big deal. If the processor's fast enough, I'd rather have detail for 4K 120 and not be too worried whether it's 422 versus 420. I think as long as you got the luminance down proper, you're really not going to be able to notice the difference in the colors between 420 and 422. So one thing the Panasonic GH6 does is 5.7K oversampled 4K in 10-bit, most likely 420 color space as well. But again, I don't know if this is exactly 5.7K oversampled 4K or if it's just a 5.7K anamorphic mode, which Panasonic has done in the past. There's not a lot of details behind this. I would like to read that it's 5.7K oversampled 4K. To me, that would be far more useful. But on the WOW camera, and that's what I'm going to keep calling it until we absolutely know 100% what its name is, there's no mention that it does oversampling in any way whatsoever. But if it is getting that 20 megapixel Sony sensor, the IMX572, there's no reason why it shouldn't be able to do at least 5.7K oversampled 4K. And that would be really, really good news. The next point comes to the autofocus system. Now, Japanese industrial partners, the owners of Olympus, which is, we've got many names, I'm just going to call them Olympus for the purpose of this video. They've only had the company for just over a year, and they came out right away promising a WOW camera was going to be coming out. So they've had at least a year to work on it. We don't know how long prior to the acquisition Olympus has been working on this WOW camera. But Panasonic, we know it's been at least 5 years because the GH5 came out 5 years ago, and I suspect it's even been longer than that because a lot of what was being worked into the GH5 carried over to the GH6. Every Panasonic camera that does video does contrast detect, depth from defocus, autofocus. It's right in the name, depth from defocus. You get that pulsing, and I really, really hate that. Even when the autofocus system does really well, I find that if I'm watching longer videos, I tend to get headaches or my eyes feel tired, and that's because even though the person, the subject, looks like they're bang on in focus, you can see a slight pulsing in the background. I really, really don't like that. But then again, that was back when the S1 came out, and I know that Panasonic keeps improving on the autofocus system. But in those 5 years, has Panasonic finally decided to say, you know what, we're ready, we've got a phase detect autofocus system? Okay, this is just my gut here. Don't make a decision based on this, but I really don't think they're going to come out with a phase detect autofocus system. And why? Well, because time after time after time they've said, we've improved upon it, it's getting better, it's more reliable. And I just rather assume it's going to be a contrast detect autofocus system and be surprised by a phase detect than get all worked up and excited over a phase detect that, once again, just doesn't come. And if you own a Panasonic GH5, GH4, or any other Panasonic series that uses a phase detect autofocus system, you probably already are familiar with how to pull focus manually, and pulling focus manually is something everybody should learn to do. Even though my Canon R5 pulls focus very, very well, it's on autofocus in every video I shoot here in the basement, I still pull focus manually because, well, it gives you that fine-tuned control. If you're doing a time-lapse video, for example, like I did with my son doing Lego, or product shots, you can pull exactly where on that product you want the autofocus point instead of just tapping on the LCD and hoping you're getting it correct. Switching over to manual focus, zooming in, and getting that point nailed is absolutely wonderful. But outside of those of us who shoot manual focus, and for those of us who are just shooting by ourselves, a manual focus system isn't the easiest to use. And if we're trying to appeal to a wider market outside of Panasonic, it's very important to have an autofocus system that is accurate and reliable. I don't care if it's time of flight. I don't care if it's a phase detect autofocus system, depth from defocus, or something else. As long as it's reliable 99.99% of the time, I'd even settle for 3 nines accurate. If it doesn't do that, I think it's going to be very hard to pull people to the Lumix line of cameras when you've got Canon, Sony, and Nikon all pulling tremendous autofocus that's highly reliable and accurate. So I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, that the GH6 will have a phase detect autofocus system. But the WOW camera looks like it's going to have a phase detect autofocus system. It looks like it's going to have a very comparable video specifications, but I wonder in terms of stills. We don't know anything about the stills capabilities. We don't know about dynamic range, ISO performance. There's so many other capabilities that we're missing here. We also don't know that if the WOW camera is going to provide us with WOW features for video like waveforms, vector scopes, and false color. Panasonic does. But I want to know what you think at this point. Which camera sounds most intriguing to you? And let me know if you currently own an Olympus or if you own a Panasonic camera. Which camera is most appealing to you based on what you know, the GH6 or the Olympus WOW camera? And what's really exciting about both of these two cameras is we're expecting announcements day after each. So we're supposed to get the Panasonic announcement the day before on February the 24th. Now, CP Plus has been canceled, I agree, but not the entire show. It's still going to take place online as planned. So I suspect that on the 23rd, we're still going to get the announcement by Panasonic. And if it's not the GH6, I'll just go crazy. But from all the hints they've dropped, yes, we're going to see at least most of the specifications on the 23rd. And then, of course, following on the 24th, we're going to have the Olympus announcement. And I do believe it's going to be the WOW camera. Again, 4/3 Rumors has come out and said, I think it's an FT3, so it's somewhere between 40 and 60% accurate, that they believe the WOW camera is going to be announced on the 15th, which is next Tuesday, instead of on the 24th. And I'm all in favor of that. But if that is wrong, well, you only have to wait another week. And I really think doing it back to back provides for a whole lot more excitement. Now, it does make for me being an awful lot more tired, because I think one of the virtual conferences is going to be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Tokyo time, the other at 5 o'clock in the afternoon Tokyo time, and that puts it around 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time, and about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I don't know. It's late. So it means me not getting any sleep that night. So it means I probably have to take the day off. But I'm really excited to hear what both of these cameras are going to be capable of. And hopefully when we get the announcements, we get a full list of specifications. We can download the manuals and pick through it. But we also have some really, really good videos. I would like to see both Olympus and Panasonic replicate what Nikon did with the Z9. And they basically did an entire day of videos from various ambassadors, their own videos that they released. So if you had pre-ordered the Nikon Z9, you could just spend the entire day in love staring at the television or your computer screen going, ah, yes, the Z9. Oh, how I miss thee. You know what I'm talking about. And you know, don't think I'm crazy here, because whether you like Nikon or not, whatever camera you're into, you've been there where you've gone, oh yes, insert brand name, how I love thee, or a lens at least. Anyhow, look, it's late. I don't want to stay up here for all hours of the night. My wife wants to make a beautiful, beautiful cake, and she doesn't do that when I'm downstairs. I always tell her, I said, look, move around, just don't run the water, because there's a main effluent pipe that runs through here, and it just makes too much noise. But doing stuff in the kitchen, knock yourself out. But she's so wonderful. She's always, oh, I don't want to make any noise. So I'm going to close it out now. But first of all, a thanks to all of you that you keep commenting, liking, and for those of you that have subscribed, for those of you that have given super chats or taken out a membership, I really do appreciate. And even if you're just watching, don't feel that you have to do memberships. Don't feel you have to do super chats or anything else. If all you want to do is just watch, then that's all you have to do. I don't want you to feel pressure that you have to click on the subscribe button. And if you do want to do it, then that's fine too. I'm just happy that you can come to a community where you can watch videos that you find entertaining and informative, but also I encourage you to participate in the community. You'll see that in every video, I respond to most of the comments that come out, and you'll also see that there's a very good camaraderie with other viewers that are commenting, and you can have discussions back and forth, creating a community where you can come and learn, ask questions, and that's one of the main reasons of starting this channel. I have no illusions of grandeur or delusions of grandeur. I don't think I'm going to hit 1 million subscribers. I think I'd be hard-pressed to even get to 100,000 subscribers within 10 years. But as long as you're enjoying these videos, as long as you're getting something out of it, and that you can find a community where it's safe, and I'm always checking comments if there's any swearing or if people are bullying, I remove that, because that's what this is not a... That's what is... Try that again. That's what this channel isn't about. It's not about making fun of people. It's not about politics. It's not about serious subjects. It's about cameras, something that I really love and enjoy, and that you do too. Maybe it's for your business, or maybe deep down inside you just really love the creative ability, the capabilities that these tools give us to take what we have as a vision in our mind and project that onto a screen. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.